We are now going to talk about the final KCPE, whose results were released yesterday. Those candidates will now be going to Form 1 next year. The government says 100% transition still stands. Everybody who sat that KCPE goes to Form 1 next year. They'll find a slot. Waenda utafute shule. Ingia hiyo shule. Endelea kusoma. To have this conversation, we are now joined by Janet Muthoni OUKO. She is an education expert, the executive director of Tunza Mtoto Coalition. Janet, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm all right, thank you.
You know, you've been here very many times, and every time you're here, I'm not here.
Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen today. But we are both here.
It's rained. it already rained. So I don't know what else will happen.
I'm glad to be here with you.
Karibu sana.
Yeah, thank
To
you.
welcome you to the conversation. City has the day's proverb. This week's proverbs have been from Namibia.
Yes, the Republic of Namibia, and this is our final proverb. As soon as a monkey has climbed a tree, it starts abusing from its elevated position.
She has visualized it.
She has visualized
She has basically Janet has just seen the monkey up there, and then she has seen the monkey ngef.
And these are your words. I have not called anybody monkey.
No. These are the words from Namibia.
Okay.
It's a proverb. What's your interpretation of this?
I can only guess.
I know. You know, we must interpret it within the context that we are in. And you can almost imagine what happens that we participate in putting leaders somewhere else, and then when we put them there, they now acquire the monkey position and habits, not knowing that soon and very soon they might find themselves at the bottom and begging again to be helped to climb up. They don't know we have the axe down here. We can cut that tree. We can even uproot it altogether.
Kila kitu gone.
Yeah.
We have nowhere to go. Okay. So, KCPE results, you've seen, everybody, it was anticipated. We are seeing some changes here from last year in terms of the drop in the highest mark, the number of marks above 400. There was also a drop in the number of cases of cheating. What's your overall reaction to the KCPE?
Wow. I think first and foremost would be to congratulate everybody that came all the way. 8 years is no mean task. I know there are those that dropped way in between. And also the parents and teachers, there's quite a lot of work that has gone in. And every time exams are released, and really this is the last we are seeing of KCPE, and we shall soon probably see the last of KCSE. But I think it shines out a lot of data that can really help serious people to sit down and analyze what is this data telling us, and how do we need to adjust, what do we need to adjust. But sadly, every time we always miss it. You know, we always miss opportunities to benefit from the data. And I've always said that look at the lazy way that we have always presented this data that we shall not have an opportunity for having, because as a researcher, I know he knows that going out and coming back with all these pieces of information will take lots and lots of money. But look at us, the only thing that we can do with that data is to announce to the country that 200 got A's, like we care, that so many got between 100, and so what? Okay, who are these? I mean, who are these? And then you miss out things like for everybody that got 400s, can we see the investment that we have made as a country? Because a lot of those that got 400s are from private schools. A lot of those that got below 100 are from public schools. You know, how do we then again use that data? How do we split it apart to help us to work on policy, help us to target our investments, appropriately? But I would say that we are seeing the end of an era, probably the end of cutthroat competition. I am sure.
I hope so.
I also hope so, but I know so because the way CBC is structured, we are probably not going to see the things that we see on the screen, especially you journalists tracing the top 428 boy, and you do not trace the last. Hold up. You do not trace the last to not probably show their face, but you just try and understand what were your circumstances. Because look at what we had yesterday, for example. Do you want to tell me that there's a brand new thesis in town that every bright child has to come from a certain background? Because that's what we saw at the release of yesterday's examinations. We now can say confidently that for you to be categorized as a bright child in this country, you have to come from a certain background. You have to go to Riera, you have to go to some certain academy, you have to go... It's a lie. It's a lie that we have been telling ourselves, a lie that we're telling our children. Because the amount of investment that was done there financially probably is not the same investment that was done in a school that a child went through, struggled through, put in their best, and they got 250. So what exactly are we measuring? Are we measuring the parental input, or are we measuring the child's, input into it? And in this one,
would we be asking the same question if the top student? I mean, again, I also have issues with this in terms of these numbers that we're putting out there. But would we be asking the same question if the top student were from a public school?
I wish we had that data. But how many years down the line have we seen?
When's the last time we saw?
When is the last time we saw the top, not even the top 1, top 2, top 10, top 20? When did we ever see that coming from public school?
The only time we see public schools shining
is at KCSE.
Yes.
And even the top scholar that right now said he wants to go to Mangu, which is a public school. So, but he comes from a really high-end private school. So I think there are conversations that we have either been avoiding, or we are just lazy. Like I told you, that it's norm for us to just have a lot of pomp and color. For a minister to come and read for us that there were 200, so what? There were 1,000 that did not get this, so what? I mean, do we have a culture of asking, so what? Deeper. What does that tell us? That you have told us that so many got this grade, so many did not make it. Remember, there's about 400,000 thereabout. I'm really trying to round off that got between 100 and 199.
Yes.
That's about 28%
sure
of the entire. So if you add these other guys that got below 100, who are about 2,000 and something, so you're speaking to 28%, really not even making it anywhere near half of the market. It's not even near half, because half would be 250. So where are those conversations?
What would interrogation of this data then bring about? And I think I hear you saying that there's not adequate interrogation, because look, true, here we are with the results of an exam that unfortunately does not give a true picture of learning. It doesn't, because as CT has said many times here, you could have had somebody who's performed poorly through assessment through the year, but tests incredibly well. Or you could have somebody who performs very well during assessment and learning in class, but tests horribly because of things like anxiety. Or unsureness. So are we interrogating?
Also, you could have had somebody who was basically not taught as well as everybody
others,
else,
or during
and they were subjected to the same exam as everybody else. This is somebody who was walking 15 kilometers to school every morning.
Or somebody who was
walking
sick
15
on the
kilometers
day of the
back to
exam.
school every day for the last 8 years. They were barefoot. There were only 2 teachers teaching them all the subjects, all those things.
So
what
we saw yesterday and what we've been seeing is a forced comparison of apples and mangoes. That's what we compared, because if you're comparing a child that went to this high-level resourced school, there were 20 in a class, and you're comparing them.
And they had 2 teachers.
And even in the night.
And an assistant.
Yes.
School bus.
And then you're comparing them with one child, probably from Olympic primary school, where one class has got 87. Learners, and a teacher here, and at one point they don't come, and these are apples and mangoes that we have been comparing, and we've really been unfair. We have really been unfair to the children, because think about this: there's a child today that is 13-year-old or even 12-year-old that is working with a verdict that you got 100 marks. It's a verdict that they're going to carry throughout their lives, because your certificates live with you anywhere you go. Everybody will ask you.
This verdict, even the secondary school they'll go to is already limited.
They're affected throughout their life.
They will go to a sub-county school
Yes.
that has only one TSC teacher, just the head teacher,
Yes.
has no labs, has no those things, and 4 years down the road they'll be subjected to another
exam,
which will determine the rest of their life, because they're most likely not going to get a C. So if they score below a C, that's it.
Why I was bringing this up is really not to rewrite the Book of Lamentations. Is to just indicate to the ministry that we really need to get to a point and really ask about what is this data telling us, so that then we can plan better. Because I have said severally that it doesn't matter what we do. We could write brand new policies, we could write laws, we could write everything. But as long as we are not investing money in education, and especially primary schools, then we really do not. And that's why I agree with someone called Heckman when he says that the best investment can be done early. Because this guy who has gotten 100 marks, there is no amount of investment that will forever change, the opportunities that he has missed to exploit his potential when he was young. See this, how this 100 marks will carry him to a bad secondary school. Eventually, he might not even get a grade that will maybe get him to some college. If we had invested early in his life, he would probably have managed some 200 marks, then go to a fair secondary school.
Actually, not even two.
More.
Some of the disadvantages that these schools present, even if you are bright,
Yes.
you are guaranteed to do badly, simply because the opportunity to utilize the faculties that you naturally have are not there.
Yeah.
You see, the sad and tragic state of affairs in the education system in this country is it's not just sad, it's tragically pathetic. We've actually reversed the clock. For the longest time, I, for instance, went to school at a time when government schools were the good schools. That's where everybody wanted to go. And they produced the good results. Now, when you talk about the research, and I agree with you, when did this twist? When did it change? Because even when communities came in to build schools, we call them Harambee schools, the government would assist by taking them over. So the schools increased. So the effort, one could argue, was rewarded because the government then brought in teachers, brought in resources. Our education budget is still the biggest budget in our budget process every single year. But it is clear to me that when I look at the amounts and then I look at the public schools, that money doesn't go into the schools.
And we like yesterday, all of us got the feedback, but we decided to ignore it. Look at how we are celebrating those who have 400 marks and these are other people's investments. These are private schools, individuals.
These are profit-making enterprises.
Where is our investment as public schools?
Yep.
Where is the investment that we have made? Education is the highest spender over our resources.
Yeah.
So why aren't we asking ourselves? I mean, is this a major indictment, on the part of a sector that takes up all our money, and we are not seeing?
But does it really take our money? Our money definitely goes wherever it is goes, but 680 billion, that's this year. You think by the time this year comes to an end, the financial year comes to an end, we will be able to pinpoint where that amount of money has actually gone to within the education system?
You do not open the box that you want to open, which I call the Pandora's box, because I know that maybe payment of teachers, at least for payment of teachers, we can be able to track it. Because if you don't pay teachers, we have the unions. And so we are sure every teacher has been paid and they will be paid their money. That one we are sure.
Even those who don't exist will be paid. We'll figure that one out. Yes.
So that bit we know.
All the teachers that exist are getting paid.
Plus those who don't exist.
The other bit is about the capitation grant. The grant that every learner,
child.
the money that goes to every learner that government is supposed to send. Now that's where the problem is. Because up and until the closure of third term, the government of Kenya had not sent 47% of the 100% they're supposed to be sending to every child at secondary school level, for example. And there is no conversation that is likely to happen, because who is this that is going to ask? The head teacher is the employee of the Ministry of Education. In fact, they are told in no uncertain terms to not ask many questions. They are actually told to manage.
And don't even think about raising school fees.
And the bad part is when there's some expenses. Like now, there were exams. Teachers are supposed to be moving from point A to point B, going to get exams. I can tell you, I sent to several money telling me, OUKO, I don't have money, and I'm supposed to do. You dash him some 1,000 bob. Really. It's a big shame, and we really need to get very serious about how we are managing education. It is not okay to lie that you have sent money to schools just because you know that you have gagged the person that is supposed to say that
to confirm
whether that money has been sent or not. So because you know that there is no way citizens can confirm, then you here telling us that we have sent money. We know you have not sent the monies to schools, and January is coming. And I am sure, and I can bet you, as sure as today is Friday, the government will not have sent money to schools by 9th of January. It will not have sent, and it will not even send all the way through to 30th of January. So head teachers are supposed to manage. Comes back to what? Comes back to the parent. Because now the head teachers will not allow you to school when you have not paid money. What are we saying about the right to education of children? And I think it got worse. We thought we had hit rock bottom, but there's something deeper than rock bottom. Because the PS, State Department of Education, confirmed the other day that they are thinking that funding free education could be impossible. Now, that coming from the PS, I thought for me was a bit unfortunate.
Was a new law.
It is very reckless.
It exposes what everything else that we are seeing. It exposes it's all about attitude. Just like City started by asking, where did the rain start beating us? It's an attitude issue. Those people at the helm of our education sector do not see an issue with for them. Education is just this one thing that they do. It's about curriculum. It's about, we have a curriculum, we have a KICD, we have textbooks, we have children in school, and they're going to school, and then they'll sit an exam. The quality of it and all is not really a big issue. And that's why despite talking about investing in our public education system, we can clearly see the results of our public education system.
Yes.
Despite all the conversations that we keep talking about equitable access to education for all our children, you can still see how children across the various social cadres are treated.
And you see the tragedy here.
Poor are treated like poverty.
You see the tragedy here, and that is what we need the political class to understand, that we do not care about your manifesto. Can you know that education is not subject to your manifesto? It is a right of children under the Constitution that you sought to defend. It is not an issue of argument as to whether you want to do or you do not want to do. It is actually not put to vote. It is not put to vote. And we cannot be talking this way in 2023, but in 2002, there was a president that saw the need of saying, I have removed all charges, let everybody come to school. Are we moving forward, or, what exactly are we moving? When you have people sitting that do not respect the Constitution of this country, that's when we even begin to have a conversation as to whether it is possible to fund or it is not possible. We do not care about state-of-the-art airports. We do not care about roads. We can walk for all we care. But there's some basic minimum, irreducible minimums, I call them. Health and education, we are not going to negotiate about it. They must be the priority, because that is what affects every household, and that is what affects the future of every household. What do you mean when you say that you think? Who even asked you to think in the first place? You're not supposed to think. We don't care about you sat somewhere and you wrote a manifesto. We agreed as a whole country and promulgated a constitution that is supposed to be governing us. I do not know at what point we began being governed by a political party manifesto. Thinking. That is how far that we have sunk as a country, and we need to rise up and defend it, because I probably, as a person, I have finished every transaction about education that the government needs to do to me. But I have a responsibility to ask the government to educate other generations.
Yeah.
Because how else will we coexist in future if we say, a government you do not want, and we watch as so many thousands fall out of the basic education sector?
I like the conversation that we know you're having, Janet. And there was even a news item here with Leah Ubaga earlier, and the conversation had started moving into now. The next thing that's going to be premium tiers is secondary school selection. And there'll be a push and pull of equity. because the majority of the secondary schools are public secondary schools. Unlike where we see there's a lot of investment in private primary schools, there's not so much investment in public and private secondary schools. So many of all these students will be coming back down into public. And now there'll be a conversation about, okay, so why should we have quota system? Why should we be saying that, if you scored 385 from this private school in Nairobi and this kid got 340 in West Pokot where he was sleeping under the sound of gunfire, why should that child get the sport that my child should be getting? What should we as a people be saying about education for all? We had started on something, Janet. You're saying that you're hoping that this is the last time we see this sort of strict and tough competition in our education sector.
Yeah.
With, exam, you do this one exam and it's one that determines everything. And so because of that, everybody wants to invest as much as possible into this one exam so that their child gets a chance. But you think CAPSEA and all these things will remove it?
Well, there's some hope. But then very quickly that hope might be dashed by the inefficiencies of the Ministry of Education. Remember, we have said that every year we have received all these kinds of data, but nobody interrogates. In fact, it doesn't help us because we do not go a step further into asking what then does this mean. What this data tells us, even when the ministry does not want us to discuss about this, is that now it's official that we're almost burying the public education completely. And those that are continuing within the public education or public schools are because they don't have a choice. Every Kenyan, if they had a choice, nobody would take their child to a classroom of 110, 102, 97, 89. Nobody would do that. And especially speaking in the context of the city, it might be a little different in the villages, but it is not so much various.
Even that, if there's a choice,
yes,
the choice is taken to go private.
Yeah, so that, and this is what will continue. I was giving an example yesterday, and this example I was given by one of the teachers who told me that when they got transferred to a certain school, she was shocked that in that particular school, the teachers sit under a tree. That is, this is now doing the CAPSEA, the grade 6. And they will not look at the scripts. And clearly, because the scripts are so many, probably you have 100 or even you have 80 or 90. So the teachers do not look at the script, but they just sit together and everybody is writing, exceeding expectations, meeting expectations,
just looking
approaching,
yes,
so that then, because you have to give feedback. And the good thing about it is that nobody is looking at 40 marks, 50 marks, and nobody will come and look at a script and question how, But imagine a teacher who is supposed to give her own verdict. Because when you say that a child is not meeting expectations, then you are attracting a certain conversation. Why is the child not meeting expectations? Is it a defect of the teacher, or is it a defect of the school, or is it a defect of the learner? And who wants to invite unto themselves this conversation? Because you do not know how it might go. So the easiest way is to say that everybody is either meeting or exceeding expectations. So now that may not have an immediate reaction. Because we will only, as a country, experience that reaction when we realize that we are churning out graduates who are from the primary school subsector, whose literacy levels are so undesirable, their numeracy levels are so low, their appreciation of small issues like social sciences is not up to date. So then that is, and that might take us 10 years or 15 years to really realize. So that's why I say that we might be able to cap this cutthroat competition. Because again, remember, I didn't hate entirely KCP because there are certain things that it did for us that we cannot probably do unto ourselves. I have seen schools where parents come out and they say, no, this school has not been taught because children got 102 marks. And so there is some certain level of accountability that happens locally without being caused by government, because I am not sure that the government can be able to cause to us the accountability that we want to see. But parents can actually be able to use this verdict of KCPE to say, no, we do not think that there are transactions happening in this school. And so we want this and this change, we want this and this change. But in the absence of this feedback, we have lost some certain level of social accountability at community level. How then do parents, how can parents now interact with this feedback they are receiving from the KPSEA examination? Can they even know you are not meeting expectations because you are at what level of not meeting that expectation? You know,
is it completely? Is it halfway?
Why are you not meeting it?
Right,
I mean,
okay.
at what level are you for not meeting this expectation? And when can you meet it? You know, there are certain issues that really now require a very robust
I think
monitoring from the Ministry of Education.
We'll start seeing those questions emerge when the grade 10 exams are sat. Because that's the transition from grade 10, now where you start going into those fields.
Yes.
You're going into the science fields and to the arts fields. The competition will be there because, of course, there are very many parents who still want their children to go into the science fields, and the STEM will be promoted. And some schools will still be wanting to accept more of the STEM students than the others, and the competition will emerge. And then parents will start asking, why are our children, all of them, just going? Because we are not dealing with our secondary schools. Even as we're having all this conversation about going into standard 7, we are not preparing our grade 11s. So is a local day school, the one that is known as the local day school, going to be the one that's taking science students? Or art students, or both? Do parents want their children to go to that local school, or do they want them to go to the other district school or provincial school or the national school? You know, that conversation will happen, and the competition will reemerge.
And I say it's okay, but won't it be a little late? Because at grade 10,
unfortunately,
is when we will be having these conversations.
Yes.
Have we? Is it way too much in? I mean, are we so much into it, so that then even any corrective measures that want to be taken, there is already a certain population that we shall have lost. And remember, we said that the Ministry of Education can help us if they utilize the data, because that they have and they have been receiving. Because remember, we are where we are yesterday when we are receiving releasing results that are indicating a total collapse of a public sector, or a totally underperforming public sector that is dominated by a private sector. And you see, the private sector is thriving because of the failure of the public sector. People are actually pulling out from the public sector due to the inefficiencies that obtain, from the public sector. So, but if the ministry can be a little more robust, can a little bit more responsive, can be a little more, forward thinking, so that we are not waiting until we are at year 10 and then we've done this KPSEA and the results look so bad, is when everybody is running up and down and transferring 2-3 teachers, sort of busybody-ish sort of reactions that really don't yield the kind of output and the kind of results that we would admire to see. And while at it, do we even know that we do not have one single classroom for grade 9?
Okay, so maybe we can take a few steps back here, because there are many things that are happening simultaneously, which I wish in a system whereby things were ideal, or in a in an atmosphere where things were ideal. So getting to grade 7 was very thorny, because grade 7 meant high school, right? And it was then very clear that KCSE in that system is still going on. So we know what happened. They said, no, sorry, this cannot happen because we just don't have enough in terms of space.
Sure.
So domicile this junior school in primary schools for now until we figure out what we're doing. I think we forgot that after 2022, 2023 would come. And that even after 2023, 2024 would come. And what did that mean? That there's a KPSEA exam that has been sat, and so grade 7 equals to grade 8, and we're adding another class to that system where we're saying still domicile them at primary school. Now, what happens in January? You've gone to grade 9, which is all right, but what happens in January, where we're already being told that the capacity is way below what is required to deliver education for these 2 classes now. Last year was already a mess with grade 7. There was not enough. Now we are adding another class to that. And the Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers is now saying, you know what?
Still pushing for those ones to go to secondary.
Let them come to secondary school. It just seems to me as though... And then, on top of all of that, the Presidential Working Party on Education Reform said what? We are going into a year whereby we will start looking at the decategorization of schools. In a few days, everybody's going to be scrambling looking for high schools for these children who've just gotten these results yesterday.
Yes.
Because everybody wants to go to a national school of certain repute. Everybody wants to go to a school where they have, performed well over the years. But in the next few months, they'll start tinkering with this idea of everybody at the same level. Are we ready? Are there things that need to be put in place? We still don't even have capitation sorted out properly. We're talking about grade 9, are you ready for grade 9? But yet another assessment will be done and we'll be saying, are you ready to go to 10? We don't have the capacity today to cater for 2 classes in junior school where we don't even know where they're going. Junior school, will it be in primary school? Will it be in high school? What are we doing exactly? But we seem to think that this thing of just go, we'll figure it out along the way, works. And unfortunately it doesn't, because there's a lot that's left in the gap. We just want to go through the mechanics, but the substance of this education is being forgotten. And it is a crisis. And I've been saying it is a crisis. And if it is not dealt with, this thing we're saying where they were interrogating the information and the results, looks to me like we're just hurtling down this hill and the momentum is increasing as we go further down.
I keep wondering, why do our presidents feel they must tinker with the education system? Kenyatta one didn't tinker with it. Kibaki didn't tinker with it. But every other president in between seems to feel that they must tinker with it. Why?
Did you listen to the Deputy President of this republic inviting members of public to
give them ideas,
to bring ideas? And I tell citizens, do not do such a thing. Because why would you give your brains for free when they had opportunities of hiring competent people that already has got the capacity? Why would you bring your ideas for free? Don't do that. Let them call out for consultancies if they've run out of people that have really good ideas. Because there's no
let them not. Consultancy means I'm going to pay.
I know.
I'm a taxpayer. No. If you don't have ideas, just leave. Okay. Let the other person who comes and has ideas
because clearly
implement
you can't make such an announcement.
We can't run a government of consultancies. So you have a president, you have a deputy president, you have a cabinet, you have principal secretaries and consultants.
No, you have advisors.
You have advisors.
Those are consultants.
And then you have others. It's too much.
And when you think about a few years ago, when you had someone like Dr. Matiang'i managing education, I could tell you for a fact that was a brain managing education, and he did much. When we had Professor Magoha, he did. You could. There was some bit of confidence that there's some substance. There's somebody who really knows that where we want to go. And
there's a driver behind the wheel.
There's a driver. And the driver driving the bus is not driving it using, there's a way you can drive it using rumors. So every often you turn to listen, we do this. You can't do that. But you have to know this thing and know it properly.
Okay.
You can't keep soliciting for rumors, along the way and grapevine and everything, and you want to drive us to the destination. You have to know it and know properly. And when you don't know, you might want to retreat somewhere
and park a little bit.
And you must be somebody who has the ability that when you park and flip through a page for 1 or 2 seconds, then it meets some good software up here. But
you can interpret the map and know where to go.
I don't know that is what we want to say about the very many people that have been put in charge of very serious affairs of this republic. And it's not funny, because I know there are sectors that you cannot lie through. There are sectors that propaganda will burn you. In January, we will all be here. In January, we will all be here. If there is no classroom, there is just no classroom.
That's it.
You must sit children under a tree. That is what we will be looking at.
And
Because people,
pray it doesn't rain.
even if it rains, they will be under a tree or they go home. There are no two ways about it. And that's what I'm saying, that the Ministry of Education really needs to very quickly, and not the Ministry of Education. Sometimes I know we roast the Ministry of Education so much, but there is very little that the CS can do about it. The other day, he didn't even look sure.
No.
I am telling you, he didn't even look sure that the exam was going to be released on that day.
I have to ask, what do you mean he is not sure? Do you know what you're saying? That the person who's at the helm
Yes.
of our education system
Yes.
is clueless.
He's not at the helm of money. He is not at the helm of money. Somebody else is in charge of money.
I understand.
If he does not know, he himself, let me tell you, he himself does not know where the 47% that was supposed to be sent for capitation
Where it
went.
went.
He does not know. I wish he knew. He does not know. This issue concerns the president.
So-
it concerns the president 100%.
So you're saying that the person who was put at the helm of our education was put there for his incapacity and for his inability to actually do what he's supposed to do.
I know for sure that if he had answers, because I know and he knows and he has seen the struggles that the head teachers are going through. Head teachers are fulizaing. You know fuliza? Yeah, they are fulizaing to make transactions that belong to the schools. Head teachers are being sent for peanuts, and they are also called again and told, out of those peanuts that we have sent you, send back
5,000
to the Ministry of Education for sports.
Yes.
No, but I don't have from which vote. No, you just know where jua vile utapanga. That is what is happening. Where jua vile utapanga, so he runs all over the place, solicits for so to send. Because when he does not send, he's blackmailed. Look at your friends. He sent a list. Your friends have sent. Why are you different?
What's this money for again?
Sports,
Sports what?
apparently organization of sports money has to be brought back to the ministry, and then now so that they will centrally organize.
There are two blocks here. So when capitation in the number that it's supposed to be of that 22,470 shillings, 5,000 of that money is actually supposed to be for development, right? Mm-hmm. So it's retained by the ministry.
Development of what?
Thank you. Just hold on. Okay, just be there with your question.
Development equals
infrastructure.
Building.
It's infrastructure, okay? Now, you're now left with some 15,000 something and something. Cool. Mm-hmm. Now, from that is what Janet is talking about, because there's some money then that will now be retained for sports, and in fact, it's called extracurricular
activities.
That sports now is included in that. I don't know whether
sports,
it's
music festival.
So then why are you returning it back?
I don't know why they did not retain it.
You just retain it in sports.
No. The reason why I'm asking that question is, how do we know that the budget for these very activities doesn't exist and that money was actually retained?
We don't know. That's the scary thing.
You see, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
So
now this is the next. In fact, the biggest now. I don't know, because the money is for books. For example, 4,000 meant for books. You brought for the teacher is brought for a form that the 4,000 that is meant for books has been retained at the Ministry of Education.
Because they will buy.
And the books
because
will
they will buy. The books will come.
Books do come.
Hold up. Because you have 300 learners, for example, that in that particular class that need books, that require books. But on the day the guy who's supposed to deliver books they come with 70 books.
And yet money for 300 was retained.
And you see, money for 300 was retained.
Yeah.
So you see, the conversation you can only have with this guy is, kwa nini umeniletea 70? And the guy is like, I have been sent. You see now, Mimi, I deliver. I'm just delivering books. So this head teacher cannot call anybody. Who will they call to ask? I was sent for 70 books, yet I need. So even the ratio of 1 to 1. No, I think we really need to be very serious about accountabilities at the Ministry of Education.
That is
because that is why
it's not just at the top.
No, it's not at the top.
This whole thing is a criminal enterprise.
It is not. It is not. There is no in between. Let me tell you, there is no in between because we have seen it. That when CS Matiang'i was there, these complaints were not there. The textbooks were 1-to-1. Can people be in charge? Can people be in charge? I mean, there are people that...
And let's be honest, capitation was sent, and it was sent.
And was sent.
And completed.
And head teachers are saying that 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we even used to receive excess books. You have 300 children, you receive 310.
You'd get books for subjects you don't even teach.
Yes. So what is this now?
And that's the thing. I think it's, look, Janet and everybody, look, it is highly unacceptable that 47% of capitation that was meant to educate children in a year was not sent, and nobody is running after their tails to try and figure out where did this money go, and nobody's answering the question, and it is not being demanded. Where did this money go? We have schools head teachers who are operating in a deficit today. There are suppliers who have told them, forget about it.
I'm
January, don't even talk to me. I will not be in a position to help you in January, because as we are speaking, you're still owing me, and then now you want me to bring more. It's not going to happen.
Which head
And then
teacher
you
does
want
not
to
have a
tell-
blood pressure in this country?
For goodness sake. And then you want to tell me education is not in crisis? We shouldn't even be talking about anything else. We should be talking about 47% of capitation in 2023 was not sent.
This has
That
been a
is the conversation.
slowly burning thing.
Come on.
Excuse could have been COVID and all those other stories, because even during Magoha's time there was still an issue of delays.
Delay,
So I
yes.
say
Delay, yes. But non-remito
there is
completely is not
Okora.
acceptable.
The issue of even extra students being registered,
Schools that
non-existent
don't
schools, this
Non-existent
whole thing,
teachers.
non-existent teachers, and the quality, same. Quality assurance, I don't know, has been moved from here. It has been taken where now it needs to come back.
Back to TSC, going to another department for who, what?
This is deliberate.
For crying out loud.
This is what a criminal
you
enterprise
see, the
operates
problem
like that.
is we do
create
not
confusion.
have an engine at the helm of education.
If I can throw a spanner in the works. Now, the books that are used at grade 7 level are not the same books that are used at grade 8 level. The conversation about the books that will then be used come January 9th for this grade 8 who have just finished grade 7 is somewhere in Saturn, Jupiter.
First of all, do they have teachers?
It's not
Are they moving? This grade 7 teacher is moving to grade 8,
There's
or is
no
now going
teacher.
to do grade 7?
We are
The
being
two-
told of grade 7 teachers
two-
who are teaching
the two
an
teachers-
entire class. Home, they are the class teacher.
the two teachers who were sent to a school.
I think the bottom line of this conversation is that we need to see competence at the Ministry of Education, and we have seen competence. We know what competence looks like. We saw a minister cracking down on exam cheating. We saw a minister cracking down on those textbook cartels. We have seen competence. So, but we cannot be introduced to mediocrity. It is too late in the day.
Hiya.
Aye.
KCSE will be released when?
KCSE will be released, they said what? End of December.
Okay. Same story. will happen.
Kepsia next week, right?
And you
Same
know,
story will
and you know
happen.
that I know many people shy away from the conversation of equity. Is it when it comes to selection of schools? But I know for sure that given what the trend we have seen in the performance of KCPE, if you give everybody a flat sheet and use these results as they are, you will get Alliance, you'll get Mangu belonging to a certain set
Yep.
of people.
Yep.
I do not think that is fair.
It should not be.
The only thing I do not agree with the ministry is not doing anything about improving
The other schools.
the public school, and then wanting to punish private schools and private schools' children
For placements.
for during placement.
Yeah.
They essentially they want to punish them for their failure.
And to cover up,
Yes.
and to cover up, because what excuse are you giving? Why are you denying a child who has achieved 400
It's a holistic
to go to a
conversation.
national school? You know, it is so
No.
simplistic to argue
All of
that
them.
they went.
No, it's about parents as well. Let's not. Why must your child go to the Alliance and not somebody else's child?
Child.
That's it. Mambo Janet by that Kubaliane. All 400s and above are going to national school. Only that there's a national school that we call Alliance and Mangu, and there's a national school that we call something else that's in some county that you've never heard of and you don't believe that.
And it's called a national school, and
that
most people don't even
you don't
believe it's a
that this is a
national
national school. Anyway, let's end the conversation.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.